back to Resistance Chicks. We're your hosts, Leah and Michelle. Today is the 4th of October. It's a Friday. We do our weekly roundup. We were running late. Thank you for being patient. I'm glad that Patriot Gallery was able to open up the chat. We went to the feed store, and then we got stuck in traffic, and then traffic again, and then our homecoming parade.
It was seriously like one thing after another. It was like, you've got to be kidding me. We've got to get home.
We have a dog here that we had taken on an adventure.
Yes.
Who we haven't had a chance to take home yet. So if you hear any crying in the background, that would be
Lulu. So
Lulu.
say hello to Lou.
Hello.
We'll just dive right in while people are coming because I know a lot of you guys are here. Patriot Gallery said, please don't spend your entire show talking about the Ukraine thing. So we won't, but I do want to get you up to speed in case you have, I don't know, been on vacation. Maybe you went to Montana and you didn't have service in Glacier National Park. Maybe you were just hanging out with your kids and you have no idea what happened and you just get your news on Fridays from Resistance Chicks. Well, good news, I have the news for you. So let me just give you the lowdown. The Democrats are trying to impeach Trump. Now, but they're not trying to impeach Trump. Ignore the hype. This is not an impeachment inquiry. So, calm down for a second. Even though they're saying we want to impeach Trump, even though they're saying they're going to try to start investigations, they've literally only sent out letters asking for information that have no subpoena power behind them because they have not started an official impeachment inquiry because that requires a vote on the House floor. And everybody, right, left, and center, they all know that if there is an impeachment inquiry, it will sink a lot of these Democrats who were voted in 2018 in red states.
Right.
And it will probably, most likely, it will swing the House back. So they are pinning their hopes on trying to impeach Trump. Like, they're hoping it's home. They know it's 1,000,000 to 1 odds.
They've got nothing.
But they know that their field, they're not, here's the thing. We look at the field of Democrats and we laugh, we cough. Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, not one of them is a heavyweight.
And Benny's in the hospital.
Right. Here's the thing. When the Republicans were running people, they had some serious heavyweights. Ben Carson was a serious contender. Ted Cruz, Rand Paul.
Yeah.
And Jeb Bush was a serious contender.
Yeah.
We had a star-studded pact of people.
Not that you're saying that Jeb Bush is a star in your book.
No, but he's a star.
Exactly.
Okay, they're movie stars I don't think are great. Robert De Niro's a star. He's a kind of a horrible human person, you know?
You horrible human person, you.
Exactly. So, but anyways, it was star-studded. Like, any one of them could have taken it to the mattresses. But John McCain and John Kerry couldn't. So, Republicans knew when John McCain and John Kerry ran that it was like, there's probably no chance, right? Well, the Democrats have this lineup of, like, D-listers. It's like when you're trying to do a movie and you can't get any A-listers, you can't get any B-listers, you're on the C and the D list. Now, for Bernie Sanders, he is the A of A amongst progressives, which are I would say a solid 25% of the Democratic Party. But when you're a solid 25% of the Democrat Party, there's still 75% of the people who don't like you.
Yeah.
Okay?
True.
Who don't want to vote for you. Who will not vote for you.
Right.
Okay, that's the same thing with Elizabeth Warren. And it's even more so with Elizabeth Warren because she has proposed something even more extreme than Bernie Sanders, if that's possible.
With the child care?
No, I'm talking about the 2% going into billionaires' bank accounts, literally just skimming 2% off of the, just taking it. Not a tax, not anything, just like going into your bank. Like, how is that legal? Like, that can't be legal.
Right.
To just go in and take, and you know what she says? As a billionaire or a millionaire above, I don't know what her limit was, like maybe $500 million. As a millionaire, you're literally, we're just asking for 2 cents on every dollar. We're just asking for 2 cents on every dollar.
Wow.
You know what I mean? But like if you have spent your whole life amassing that kind of wealth, you're greedy as all get out.
Yeah.
And you don't want to see a penny go.
Yeah.
So those kind of guys are like, whoa, 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 we're not going to go for Elizabeth Warren. And they know they can't go for Bernie. Bernie Sanders, this is breaking news. Bernie Sanders is still in the hospital. He had a quote, and they're playing it down as much as they can.
They always do that.
Okay? He had a cardiac event. They're not calling it a heart attack.
He has some stints
put in, but he's still in the hospital, and this was several days ago. Okay?
So we were talking about this on the way home.
But he's out. Like, everybody's saying he's done. He has pulled out $1.4 million of ads in Iowa. I don't think he's going to come back from this. Like, he may try. I don't know if he hasn't said he's out. I think they're going to try to wait and see what he feels like. But if he's already having these kind of events and we're not even in the season yet.
Yeah.
He's
pushing 80.
Yeah, I think he's 79.
And you talked about, in 4 years, you're like 84 years old.
Yeah, 83, 84.
Well, okay, by the
time he's elected, he'll be 84. At the end of the term, he'll be 84. So and he's already had.
So when he leaves office, let's say Bernie said, let's just say in some weird world, Bernie gets elected once and twice. He leaves office, he's 88 years old.
Yeah. And see, here's the thing. The Democrats have already sunk that ship because they question Trump's physical well-being.
Right.
But Trump is as healthy as a horse. Like, he doesn't stop. Like, the only one that could match him, I think, is Elizabeth Warren. She's getting up there, too. But she is the quintessential Energizer Bunny.
She's not old.
She is. She's in her 70s.
No, she's not.
Yes, she is. You look it up.
Wow. That girl look good. It must be all that Native American in her.
It is. Native Americans always look younger.
That's true. It's the high cheekbones.
It is. So there is no impeachment inquiry. There are no subpoenas. You are not to be faulted if you think a formal inquest is underway. And this is from Andrew McCarthy.
70.
She's 70.
So that's actually not old.
But she's still 70. I mean, seriously. Right. I mean, she's up there.
Right. But they're all that old.
Exactly.
Not the field. We got all the young people. You're right.
Yeah,
but I just mean most presidents. I mean, are pretty.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. She is younger than Bernie Sanders by like about 10 years. So she's a spring chicken.
She's taller than
me. And that's exactly sounds like she's something she would say. I'm a spring chicken. You are not to be faulted if you think a formal inquest is underway and that the legal process has been issued for an impeachment inquiry. The misimpression is completely understandable if you have been taking in media coverage, in particular reporting on the September 27th letter from the House Democrats presuming to direct Secretary of State Mike Pompeo on pain of citation for obstruction to cooperate with their demands to depose State Department officials and review several records. The letter is signed by not one but three committee chair. Remember your elementary math, though. 0 is still 0 when multiplied by 3. What is portrayed as an impeachment inquiry is actually just a made-for-cable TV political soap opera. The House of Representatives is not conducting a formal impeachment inquiry. To the contrary, congressional Democrats are conducting a 2020 political campaign. The House has not voted as a body to authorize any impeachment inquiry. What we have are partisan theatrics proceeding under the guise of some sort of impeachment inquiry.
So it's fireworks at this point.
So you've got Speaker Nancy Pelosi. I'm not even going to play her recent clips of how she prays for the president daily and she's,
isn't she kind of like a saint? She prays for the president, her mortal enemy, every day.
And she
prays that he dies a horrible death.
Yeah, and actually,
it's called witchcraft.
Speaking of that,
witchcraft.
Unfortunately, I feel bad. I'm going to see if I can bring up the spot, and I might not be able to bring. Trump had played this spot where, Trump and Alex Jones are the same person in my mind, I guess. So from yesterday's show, but you can catch it a lot of places where there was a Pastor Jeffries who was on a Fox News radio show, and what he said, he got the guy at Fox News discontinued his radio show. Let's see if I can find it here. And I
big
feel
bullies. And the way they did so is because
I feel bad because this Pastor Jeffries, he was just rolling with it. Oh, look, he's got Tommy on. We'll have to play that. I didn't see it. I didn't see it.
You haven't watched? Yeah, I haven't watched that either.
You're fine, Lou. I wonder if Mom knows exactly where it was. But maybe I can just... Anyways, I'll just tell you. This Pastor Jeffries was on this guy's Fox News radio host program.
Okay.
And they were talking about Nancy Pelosi, saying that she prayed for the president. And the
Read
radio
that.
host, I don't know exactly his name, but he's since been let go by Fox News because of this line that Pastor Jeffries said.
Okay.
He said, well, I don't know. I wonder what God they're praying to, said the radio host.
That's a valid question,
Pastor Jeffries said, well, we know what God they pray to. They worship the god Molech, which sacrifices babies. We know, like in the Old Testament, the God of... And so everybody in our side of the world, and in the Christian world, has said for years that they worship the god Molech, because the god Molech in the Bible, they would pass their babies through the fire.
And you can go and watch Eric Mathis' sermon that I covered the other day in our videos. Go to my videos and you can watch that there.
And so this is something that Christians talk about all the time.
Yeah.
And they said, but I guess they took it literal, like Nancy Pelosi worships Molech, and that's too much fake news, and so he got fired.
Oh my
gosh.
gosh.
But there's that. So let's see. Anyways, let's see where we're at. The Democrats, of course, hope that you don't notice that the House is not conducting a formal impeachment inquiry. They just say it over and over and over again, right? They are using
a technicality
the guise of frantic activity. Ludo. By several standing committees, intelligence, judiciary, foreign affairs, oversight, reform, financial services, anyways, whose normal oversight functions are being gussied up to make it look like serious impeachment business. But the standing committees do have subpoena power, so why don't they use it? Well, because subpoenas get litigated in court when the people or agencies on the receiving end object. So Democrats want to have an impeachment show, inquiry, or on television. They do not want to defend its bona fides in court. They certainly don't want to defend their letter.
She's all right. She'll lay down.
The Democrats' media scribes note the chairman's admonition that any failure by Pompeo to comply shall constitute evidence of obstruction of the House's impeachment inquiry. What a crock. In criminal proceedings, prosecutors demand information all the time, and witnesses often resist. Just as congressional Democrats encouraged the Justice Department and the FBI to resist when Republican-controlled committees were trying to investigate such matters as the FISA abuse. Presumptively, resisting an information request is not evidence of obstruction. It is evidence that the recipient of the demand believes he or she has a legal privilege that excuses compliance. The recipients can be wrong without being guilty of obstruction. Congressional Democrats know this, of course. Many of them are lawyers. They are issuing partisan letters that pose legally offensive threats rather than subpoenas, because this is a show, not an impeachment inquiry.
So, you know what it reminds me of? When our neighbor...
Kangaroo court.
Our neighbor had sent a letter from his lawyer telling us to cease and desist from keeping our animals. Because when you send a letter from a lawyer, it looks like a big to-do. Like somehow lawyers have power when they actually don't. They have letterhead. That's all they have. And so this is what they're doing. It's a big show. Here you've gotten my letterhead, and you know I'm just blowing smoke.
Okay, so here's the thing. Although the House has the raw power to file articles of impeachment based on any frivolous allegation, even minor abuses, the Constitution says it has to be high crimes and misdemeanors, not a traffic ticket, not even like drunk driving. You know what I mean? And so you have to have this super majority in the Senate, 2/3 to convict in the Senate, and that's how the Constitution keeps things in balance. Although the House has the raw power to file articles of impeachment based on like anything, with a supermajority, it doesn't look like it's going to happen. In defending against any congressional demand for information, the president has various privileges against disclosure, and then it's just a bunch of craziness. So what I want to talk about right now is Joe Biden's son, Hunter Biden, was getting $50,000 a month to be on the board of this Ukrainian Energy Committee. And why isn't anybody talking about the fact that Ukraine is in Europe, but it is the poorest country in Europe. They ain't got no money. They don't have anything. So why is Joe Biden's son making millions in the Ukraine? Why is John Kerry's son on the same board?
You're kidding.
Why is Mitt Romney has like a campaign advisor sitting on that same board? Why is the Ukraine tapping all of these American?
This is very good question.
I'd call these American B players or C players, right? So a lot of times when a foreign government or a foreign entity wants to buy into another government, you don't go straight to the top. That's too. You see that? I mean, you're not going to put Joe Biden on your board, but you might put his son on your board, right? You might put John Kerry's son or son-in-law on the board. You might go in and look at who is connected to who. It's always a who is connected to who. And now it's come out today that, here I have this up, breaking news, Nancy Pelosi's son, Paul Pelosi Jr., who went to the Ukraine. Listen, in 2017, this Ukraine is not a place where people go to holiday. It is not a vacation destination. People don't go there. People don't ever mention Ukraine except for to say, oh, look, Russia annexed Crimea, whatever, okay? That's the only thing that we ever talk about with the Ukraine, okay? We know that they're corrupt. We know that their government is in shambles, so much so that they elected a national TV icon to be their president to do something about this corruption, right? Their country is in shambles. And it seems that all these American B players, the sons, the daughters, people who are connected to the A-listers in politics are over there for some reason. Now, Paul Pelosi Jr., who went to the Ukraine in 2017, was a board member of Viscoil, an executive at its related company, NRG Lab, which did energy business in the Ukraine. Why is the Ukraine this great energy hub anyways? You know what I mean? It is a nothing country. I'm sorry.
So Stuart the Brit says Ukrainian is full of oil, natural gas, etc.
Well, okay, so now we know.
Thank you.
To create it yourself. When President Obama became president of the United States, he elevated science to a higher place in our national priorities. It is science, 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 and science. Breaking our crippling addiction to oil. They are developing desirable, efficient cars that get more than 100 miles per gallon. My son Paul, who is here with me, tells me that is par for the course and not to be overwhelmed by that prospect that will be considered the normal.
We're having a very exciting day here in Washington, D.C. A lot of focus on innovation and technology to help solve a lot of the world's energy crisis. Both oil spills, which we'll be participating in, cars and efficiency, which is represented today, and space and different adventures in using technology from space to make human conditions better here. My name's Paul Pelosi. Of course, I'm on the board with Visco Oil. And Visco's here today to talk about accelerating the future. It's about using cars in a more efficient manner. It's about utilizing natural resources, whether it be electricity or gas or fossil fuels, in a more efficient way. And Visco Oil is part of that solution. We're also going to take place in the next X Prize competition. This X Prize rewarded cars.
So here's Nancy Pelosi. She's implicated now because she's in an ad promoting her son being part of this Visco Oil, as an executive and its related company, which did energy business in the Ukraine. So why do you think she's trying to do the impeachment thing? Her son's in on this too.
Well, and this is actually a really beautiful thing because all of these people, it's like once you've stepped into a pile of poo and you keep walking around and you're like oblivious to the fact that you're leaving footprints behind you. And all of these people have left these pile of poo footprints. And then you're going to find their shoe and it's going to be covered in poo. Right. And it's going to be a beautiful day.
So this is what went viral and was taken down. I think that I think I still will find one. Yeah, here we go. Twitter keeps taking it down for a copyright because what Donald Trump's campaign did was create a small ad that got millions and millions and millions of views,
utilizing a Nickelback song.
Yeah, and in the picture, it talks about this picture. This picture is Joe Biden, Hunter Biden, and an executive from this Burisma company who we can't stop talking about because they are the epicenter for the corruption with Hunter Biden. And Joe Biden said, I've never spoken with my son about any of his business dealings because he was the point man for the Ukraine. There are hundreds of countries in the entire world, and Joe Biden is the point man for little Ukraine, right? He knows why he's there, okay? He's there because, as the Brit said, oil, gas, energy. And his son, at one point, he wrote in his book, his dad asked him, I hope you know what you're doing, and he says, I do. Okay, and remember, Hunter Biden had just 6 months before been kicked out of the military for being a cocaine addict. He has some sort of love child, trying to get child support right now. I mean, he spent money on prostitutes. I mean, this guy is a mess as a human being.
How does a child support judge deal with $50,000 a month of income?
Well, he's not getting it now.
I'm just saying, how do you?
So anyways, Donald Trump tweeted this out, and Twitter keeps taking it down, but people have all downloaded it, so they just keep uploading it again.
Have you ever spoken to your son about his overseas business dealings?
I've never spoken to my son about his overseas business dealings.
Look at this photograph. Every time I do, it makes me laugh. How did our eyes get so red? And what the hell is on Joey's head?
Have you ever spoken to your son about his overseas business dealings?
I've never spoken to my son about his overseas business dealings.
Look at this photograph. Every time I do, it makes me laugh. How did our eyes get so red? And what the hell is on Joey's head?
Okay, so now that we've all seen that 500 times, which I have, which is incredibly funny to watch, we're going to let's weigh in on some Michigan voters here. CNN went to Michigan. It keeps biting itself in the tail. I don't know. It's not so good for CNN. And asking some voters what they thought about impeachment.
Offense, but most we spoke to see impeachment as little more than politics.
I think it's a lot of just people don't like him, they want him out of office. The left and the media.
John Scans voted for Trump in 2016 and had concerns early on. 6 months ago, he thought Joe Biden might be an option. Now, he says the push for impeachment has him supporting the president more than ever.
They are there for one thing now and one thing only, and that's to try to impeach the president.
Not looking so good for the Democrats. And
meaning that people can see right through this sham that they're doing. Nobody is taking it seriously, unless you're a millennial and brainwashed, that Trump has actually done anything worth impeachment. Everybody knows what is in the worst of humans. Right? And they can see, listen, you're just trying to get him out of office because you don't want him in office. He hasn't done, we have a political process that's supposed to be, held sacred.
Well, and you know what? As a side note to this, I love what Michael Tracy says. He's a lefty, but he's a sane lefty, and he calls things out. Tucker has him on quite a few times. When this whole thing hinges on the idea that Trump was blackmailing the new president of Ukraine, Zelensky, and saying, if you don't look into Biden, we're going to withhold aid.
Right.
That's not in the transcript. It's not there, but that's what the Democrats have made up.
So can I ask you off the cuff here? I heard something. My uncle watches television and the news plays, our local news plays a lot. And they came on saying that they have this guy that came and met with White House officials for 10 hours with text messages proving that President Trump was like, are you going to look into this? And then, we're not going to schedule your visit here until you agree to look into this.
Actually, the guy was interviewed yesterday all day, and now the Democrats have fallen flat on their face because that they had mismatched the text messages, and he totally actually it was the ambassador to the Ukraine, and it's the opposite. It doesn't say so. That's
fake
done.
news.
That's
They're
fake
literally
news.
putting it out for everyone, and they don't care because they're not going to retract anything.
I know.
They can't say strike that from the record. They can't say forget it. Then people are going to go tell it.
Heard that.
As long as they win in the court of public opinion, they win.
It doesn't matter. They listen. They think that Alex Jones. Here's the thing. They thought that that's what Alex Jones was doing.
Yeah.
They thought that when we shared all those memes about Hillary Clinton, they thought that we were sharing fake news. So they've gotten onto, well, we're going to share it. Mm-hmm. If they can do it, we can do it.
But ours was real.
But we're going to do it with impunity.
Yeah.
They're doing it from a place of authority, right? Because Alex Jones talks about the FEMA camps and the satanic sex trafficking and all these different things. Well, guess what? I'm going to put my money on when God tells us all the truth. 9 out of every 10 things Alex Jones says was true, and the other one thing was actually partly true. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So this is what Michael Tracy says. Is it just me, or is the term aid an extremely deceptive euphemism to describe lethal armaments that directly cause death and destruction, inflame geopolitical conflict, and enrich American defense contractors? Sending aid would be medical supplies and not anti-tank missiles.
That's a very good point. It's a very, very good point.
So when you think of aid, what do you think of?
We always think of the Red Cross.
Yeah.
That's what we think of.
Maybe building some schools.
And some food. Yeah.
Maybe helping with their energy, maybe helping build some Wi-Fi, expand their
I think of wells in Africa.
Exactly. But when we say aid, when our government says aid,
boom, 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 boom,
it just means
bringing in the tanks,
weapons.
Yeah.
It's like we have
and troops.
Yeah, but it's money. When they hand over the cash money,
So Lynette Zhang did an excellent episode about the confiscation laws. And one thing that she talks about is that there's a law in the books that says they can confiscation of gold, that they can only do that during times of war. And so it was put on the books right before World War I. And we have been in perpetual wars.
Right.
Ever since.
Right.
And to me, it's fascinating and it's not just to confiscate gold. Lynette goes into all these different laws about how there's no limit to, they can literally confiscate your physical labor.
Right.
Okay. There is no limit to their confiscation, their ability to confiscate things, but it has to be
confiscators
during a time of war. And that's actually been expanded to just anything that can amount to like a big deal.
Can just call an emergency.
Yeah, and so they're going to keep us in perpetual wars ever since then. Not only do wars make money, we all know that.
Right.
But the idea that they could confiscate your gold and anything that you have yourself as a slave, it's pretty scary.
So we're going to take this time for our daily show. I call them commercial breaks.
Okay.
To where this has nothing to do with the topic at hand, but it is an important story.
Okay.
Now, if you have children in the room, please remove them.
Oh no.
But what is
this? If I'm not looking at a butt, I'm not going to look at a butt.
It's not a naked butt. It's drag queen story hour in elementary school.
It's not a real naked butt.
No. This is drag queen children's story hour. It's not a naked butt.
It's a naked butt.
No, it's not a naked butt.
It's pretty naked to me. Oh, that's an outfit. Okay.
We're not going to watch all of it because it gets really stupid. So I'm not going to watch anymore. But I said really drag queens are going to drag. And that is why we don't have children. Drag queen story hour for children.
At a library. Do you know that your taxes go to fund libraries?
Yes. Our taxes go to fund that.
It's really unfortunate.
Here we have another commercial break. No. We're going to go in and out of the
I did not enjoy that commercial break.
I know. You're not going to enjoy this one. Feds seize millions of pounds of smuggled Chinese pork. 1 million
really
pounds
pork?
of 1 million pounds of infected Chinese pork was seized by the U.S. CBP as they lied to inspectors about contents. Chinese pig Ebola has ravaged China. We believe 220 million pigs, half their population, have died.
Oh my gosh!
So, I do believe this particular article is from March of this year, but this lawmaker decided to share it now. I guess there's more to it. Or not a lawmaker, I guess. Who is this? Chief Investment Officer. So, U.S. Customs and Border Patrol have stopped an attempt to smuggle 1 million pounds of pork. So there's more. There's like 220 million, I guess, pigs infected, resulting in the biggest seizure of agricultural product in American history. This was highly orchestrated. He said it was a concerted effort to conceal the product. Now that is scary. They were concealing the fact that this was infected pork to get it into the United States. They were concealing it. They wanted to
me,
infect
that
us.
seems like a bioweapon.
You would think, yeah.
Like, okay, so it's not at that point.
Right.
It's not a monetary thing. It's not a money thing because you literally know it's going to kill people. And how they thought that they were going to get away with it,
I don't know. It's an ongoing investigation.
It's disgusting.
Yeah. So I don't even to tell you, we should not be eating pork from China. I know that much.
Get pork from your local farmer.
So, Glenn Beck did an entire show. You can watch his whole show on the Ukraine. But here in 30 seconds, he sums up the media hysteria on the Ukraine-Trump Hunter Biden thing. Ready?
Forget about all this. This is a conspiracy. Concentrate here.
Oh, we have to make...
Trump made a phone call. Trump made a phone call. See how this doesn't work? See how none of this is being talked about? They're talking to you about Joe Biden and his son. Skip.
I'm skipping.
And Trump made a phone
I can
call.
see it.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't work. It doesn't work.
And so basically, we just hit on a few things. George Soros is involved here in the Ukraine.
Right.
There's a lot. You can watch it on Glenn Beck you can just go to YouTube and Google Glenn Beck and it comes up. But my point is that that's what the media is doing, and they're skipping everything in between, and then like, ooh, and Trump made a phone call, right? One phone call, and then all the different things that the left has done is just crazy. So there we are. Let's go to some happy news today. Donald Trump delivers remarks at Young Black Fellowship Summit today. So let's see. Here we go. Let's get to. There's Candace. We're going to watch him walk in because that's always fun. So Donald Trump, this is the second time he's done this, brought together a lot of young black conservatives to the Black Conservative Summit here. Here he comes.
Ladies and gentlemen, the President of the United States, accompanied by the Vice President of the United States.
Michelle has words for
The chiefy is the man. I wrote that a long time ago. It's great there.
Boy, oh boy, this is a group. So I've been doing this for a long time. That is the loudest I've ever heard anything in this room. You just broke the record. Unbelievable. Well, I want to thank you all, and I have a lot of friends, but... And this is a place, 1799 it was built, 1799, started off with number 6, John Adams, president, and so it's a long time. It's the White House, so we love it, and it's an honor to have you, but you really did, you broke the sound barrier. I've never heard that. I've never heard it quite like that, and I appreciate it. We love you. We love you. Thank you. Thank you.
These people are just so excited.
And I'm honored to welcome everybody and these incredibly talented and unbelievable, patriotic young American leaders. You're going to be the leader, somebody I would be
Breitbart's really struggling
almost willing to bet, maybe even willing to bet, somebody in that audience right here, right in front of me, is going to be standing here someday. I think so.
I think he's thinking about Candace.
You're going to have a good shot. You've done incredible work to get to this position, and I have tremendous respect for it. We're glad to be joined by our terrific Vice President, Mike Pence. And many of our cabinet members are here. They wanted to be here. I told a couple of them, don't have to. Don't worry about it. What the heck? These are my friends. They said, no, we want to be here. So we have a lot of our cabinet members here. And to every young person, you represent America's future. You are the best and the brightest, the bravest and boldest, and someday you are going to be setting records like nobody before. I'm telling you, I know it. I know where it's at. I know where energy is, and you have the energy like very few people have the energy. So I just want to tell you, get out there. Prove me right, please, okay? Prove me right. I have no doubt you will. Each of you has come to Washington for the Black Leadership Summit because you have what it takes to achieve real change on your campuses and in your communities, and that's what you've been doing, and that's actually why you're here. You speak out for the values and principles that have made America the most exceptional nation anywhere on earth, and I will say this today, it's greater than it ever was before. Our military, our economy. We have the greatest economy in the world. We have the greatest economy we've ever had. Tremendous numbers just came out today. You heard that. But you stand up for the oppressive forces, and you do. You stand right up to those forces in our country that demand conformity and control. You refuse to be censored. You refuse to be silenced, and you will never back down. And don't ever back down. You're the champions for free thought and free speech, and I especially want to thank a friend of mine who is, I mean, first of all, you think he's like 50, but he's about 25 or something like that. He's a young guy. I can't even imagine being so successful at such a young age, what he's done in so many ways. And really, more importantly, letting young people know that they have a voice. Charlie Kirk from Turning Point USA. Charlie, you've done a fantastic job. Fastest growing organization of thought in the country. He is something. Thank you very much, Charlie. I appreciate you being here. And we're also joined by a friend of mine, just got married. And Candace Owens, I watched her and I saw her coming. I said, you know, I'm pretty good at star power. I look at it, I say, that's a star. Every once in a while, I'll see somebody. You know, it happens about once every 5 years. That's all it is. But I'll be watching. I saw Candace probably 3-4 years ago. How long would it be, Charlie? 4? Maybe 4. I saw this woman on television. I said, man, I don't want to mess with her. She's tough. She's tough. Now, I'm not allowed to say it. You know that. I'm not allowed to say it anymore. But she's also beautiful. So I'll say that too. Okay? It's true. Under the Me Too generation, we're not allowed to say it. So all of you young, brilliant guys, never, ever call a woman beautiful, please. You're not allowed to do it. And I've kept doing it, and I've never been told by that woman never to do it. Just say, thank you, sir. Candace, would you come up here and say a few words? You might come.
That's kind of a good point.
You know what? I was thinking, every single president that comes into office after 2 years, they look so much older. He seems to be the only president that's getting younger. He has somehow found the fountain of youth. I think he gets up out of bed. It's the fight. He loves the fight. He really does. We are so blessed. And listen, let me say this. The media, the audacity of them to think that they are going to impeach our president. It's not happening. It's absolutely not happening. Not under our watch. We need to make sure we fight for this man. The one man who is standing up for Black America, we are going to fight for, guys. We have to keep it going.
That's so nice.
That's so nice.
Outstanding person. She's another one. You're going to have to compete with her, too, for this position, I suspect. Thank you very much. Sort of interesting. It's like, do we have a choice? We have to fight, right? We have to fight. We have to fight for everything, whether we like it or not. Another man who's been so incredible, Jaron Smith. Where is Jaron? Is he around
So
here?
I'm going to go ahead and pause that because that is actually, it's really fun to watch, but we have to get out.
Because everybody's so excited.
Yeah, it's like good news.
It's infectious. And we cover so much hate and negativity a lot because it does exist and it is happening. But to see a whole room full of people, of young Black conservatives supporting their president unashamedly. I saw a couple of pictures on Twitter of them just proudly wearing their MAGA hats. Is somebody going to come up and deck them for wearing it? I kind of wonder.
Yeah, I bet that there's some cool videos online. But let's go over here. In New York City, you can now be fined for calling an illegal immigrant an illegal immigrant.
Isn't that crazy?
It's up to $250,000. Now, it's supposed to be, I guess, for like businesses and stuff, but it does go towards regular people. This applies to landlords, employers, and in public accommodations. If a landlord says, I can't rent to illegal aliens, or a prospective employer says, I can't hire you because you're an illegal alien, you could be facing $250,000 fine.
Oh my gosh. Who can afford something like that?
Yeah. So that's pretty crazy. And when you think about this, this should be against, governments aren't supposed to be allowed to stifle speech, especially something that is a real legal term.
Right.
Illegal alien, right? It's not a put down, it's not anything else, but it's just a fact.
You know what I think it is, though?
What are you supposed to say?
What it boils down to is this. The fact that aliens are seen as this otherworld thing coming from another planet, that they have illegally landed their spaceship on our soil.
Yeah.
And so when you call somebody that comes from south of the border and they worked really hard to travel and get smuggled and, child sex traffic and drugs and all of these things that go along with that. They worked really hard for that. So to bundle them, it's kind of like racist to call them like an alien, like So I think that's why they say that you can't call them an illegal alien, because like, who's to say that if an alien did land here in a spacecraft on American soil, that even would be illegal, because it's not exactly like they crossed some sort of border, and that's like a world issue, because they came from outer space through the atmosphere, which is a big challenge in and of itself to actually make it through that. Right. And so I think that's why they take offense. And so that's what makes it so wrong.
I was pretty... Okay, now we're moving on to another story. I'm sorry. Nice. That was a nice explanation. We don't want to call them
I just want
aliens.
people to know.
I get it.
Why it's upsetting.
So, Beijing held...
aliens are ugly.
Beijing held its 70-year anniversary of starvation and total fascist control over people. And they had a little, marchy march and a little, hey, worship us. And Boston City Hall raised the Communist China's flag up, flag raising. And a Chinese flag was raised at Boston City Hall Plaza on Sunday to mark the 70th anniversary of the communist rule in China. This is literally to mark the 70th anniversary of the communist rule of China. Now,
it's an ode to our comrades.
What if Hitler was still in power, people would be raising flags to him now?
Yeah.
Are we raising flags to Cuba?
Swastika.
Are we raising flags to the North Korea?
Yeah.
No, because everybody wants their Chinese products and they don't care if they're slave made by people who are totally and completely controlled.
I don't know, though. And don't you think that it has a little bit more to do with the fact that they want to desensitize people from communism? Communism's not so bad. Look, we can raise their flag. It's just a personal choice. Just like oppressing women in Islamic countries is a personal choice. So it's China's choice to enslave people and harvest organs from people in prison and stuff. Like, that's their choice.
So we have this whole, like, Nazi
let them be them. Let them do them.
Andrew Yang wants to make it so that his little $1,000 a month stipend cannot go to white supremacists, anybody on a sex registry, or anything like that.
How do you register as a white supremacist, by the way?
I don't know, but my question is, if that's an ouster for society, right? Okay. If we talk about these white supremacists, why aren't we talking about the fact that on Sunday, the Chinese Progressive Association organized the raising of this Chinese flag? Why aren't we talking about communists?
Infiltration here.
This anniversary marks a particularly bloody period in Chinese history with at least 45 million people were known to be killed by the regime founder Mao Zedong. Now remember, they died of they did die of starvation, but he massively killed a bunch of people. And the worst things that he did was everybody's like, oh, look what he built, he pulled people out of poverty. Well, guess what? Before Mao, people had their own farms. Yes. And poverty in your eyes may not have been poverty, and I guarantee you it was not poverty in their eyes. Because the Chinese people, they had a lot of intellectuals, they had a lot of academics, and they had a lot of farmers who were in sync, farming had been passed down from generation to generation.
Absolutely.
Especially in things like the rice paddies, right? Mm-hmm. These farmers were in sync with nature, and I guarantee you they were happier.
Yeah.
Okay, so they had houses and they had farms.
Right.
And there was freedom. Okay. No, I would say that it wasn't obviously economically, completely even, and it wasn't, perfect. There's no utopia, right? But it's to say that the industrialization and that people aren't in poverty now,
people in China are in poverty.
Here's the thing. The people who are alive now saying that we have food now in China, they're remembering a time when Chairman Mao starved them.
Yeah.
Okay? Because, and I'll tell you why, he did things like this. He would take over farms where these farms were in a symbiotic relationship. Farmers were in a symbiotic relationship with, let's say, the rice paddies. Mm. And he would remove that farmer from the farm and put them in. You guys, this is history. This is really what they did, and it's kind of still what they do. But now you kind of get to choose. But then you didn't even get to choose. They would take a farm and they'd take these houses. They would separate the children away from the parents. And they would put people in they would take them all off of their farms, and they put them in these communal living spaces.
Yeah.
And then he would put some crazy guy, he put somebody else in charge of the rice paddies.
Who doesn't have the generations of experience, and then the farm fails and there's not enough food.
That's exactly what happened. That's how people starved. And you know what else he would do? They would run out of wood. So what would he do? He would literally tear down people's houses for the wood.
Yeah.
And he literally believed, he was a crazy man. He literally believed that he could create a society where no one had to work, but everybody had fur coats.
Yeah. It didn't happen.
No, it didn't happen. And not to mention how they killed the intellectuals because they knew the intellectuals would be able to fight back.
Right.
So if you were an academic, what he did was he got the children. He got the teenagers.
Don't they always do
and
that?
They were told to tell on their parents. If their parents were an academic or had any sort of higher education, if they would be killed. They were just killed. Not if they, they didn't even have to, they didn't have a chance, pledge or not. So we do have a lot of we do have these demonstrators in Hong Kong right now who are protesting because they don't want to become a full-fledged Chinese dictatorship. But they have it's a real civil war, and it's kind of gotten out of control. This week, an officer, and I'm not going to show you the video, shot a protester point blank in the chest. So live rounds are being used. And then there is a video, and I don't know if I shared it.
Assuming that the protester died.
No, still alive, but being charged with rioting.
As if getting shot in the chest point blank is not enough punishment.
Right.
Unbelievable.
Oh, by the way, 2 months ago, the group sued the city of Boston for not allowing it to raise an interdenominational Christian flag at the same site. So, she's under there. That's funny. Let's see.
Are you stuck?
In Hong Kong, some protesters actually they're getting a little crazy there, I have to say, and
well, what do you do? And we've talked about this on our show, because they are in the right and they don't have an avenue with it. And it is really, really confusing. Just from a moral standpoint, what do you do when you don't have weapons? Okay. You don't have a democratic process.
I will play this while you're talking.
Where you can get something done that way.
But I'm going to watch it.
And then when you peacefully protest, they arrest you. They throw.
While Michelle's talking, see what they do for emergency vehicles is take all the roadblock away and let them through. Go ahead.
That's amazing. But no, I'm just saying, it's like you get to the point where you kind of feel desperate, and especially, I don't think that things didn't start to escalate on the protesters' side until the Chinese government started pushing with the blue stuff that they put all over them and stuff to make sure they could identify them later. They were doing all sorts of things and pushing these protesters, because the Chinese government, they're so different than us. It's hard for us as Western people to imagine and to wrap our brains around how the government works in China. But Chinese people, and the government especially, they're very cut and dry, like straightforward. This is how it is. We have to nip these protesters in the bud, and we're going to do whatever it takes to make sure that happens. And now they're using live rounds. And so when you look at Hong Kong, and the UK should be standing up and saying, listen, you have violated the treaty that we came up with by giving Hong Kong back to China. So now, you know what? You've broken that treaty. We're going to step in and we're going to help these Hong Kong people. And they aren't doing that. Right. And as a Hong Kong person, you would feel desperate. Right.
So right now it says breaking all Hong Kong rail services will be reportedly suspended, and they remain suspended according to Hong Kong Mass Transit. So a lot of these protesters have been using the trains, so the trains are suspended. Police officer was beaten and firebombed. I think it was today or earlier. Shot rings out, and a girl is shot. From what I understood, a teenager girl is shot in the leg. So the protesters attack the police officer, and after being beaten, they try to grab his gun. Maybe I can do that and she can get to me. That's a good idea.
I guess my point is, this has become civil war. When we think of civil war, we think of our personal civil war, and
a male was wounded by the gunshot. So there's a little bit of fake news going back and forth.
I don't think that violence is the answer, but at the same time, our Second Amendment was put into place for many reasons, but one, so that the government could never usurp power over the people.
Yeah.
So when the government does usurp power over the people, what are the people left with? So when we come up here and we say, listen, we don't condone violence, because we don't, this is such a unique situation that it's very difficult to talk about, to find right and wrong.
It is. Is it time for the United States to stand? Oh, there's a woo woo. Hey, baby girl, I led you. I didn't go anywhere. I'm right here. Is it time for the United States to stand up to China in Hong Kong? Tweets aren't enough. Washington must make it clear that it expects Beijing to live up to its commitments, and it will respond when China does not. As the Chinese Communist Party commemorates 70 years of the People's Republic of China by parading its military hardware in Beijing, the people of Hong Kong are struggling for their rights. For months, the world has watched as protesters in Hong Kong stood bravely in the face of police and state violence. They deserve our support. What is happening in Hong Kong illustrates the challenge posed by China and the limitations of the United States' current approach. In many cases, the United States will need to cooperate with China, for example, on climate change. That's what this person is saying, but must also stand firm. So I think that this is a very Donald Trump is doing what he can to make a statement to China, and I think that this is his way of dealing with a lot of this stuff is the trade wars, and it's a very sticky situation right now with Hong Kong and with China, but I stand with Hong Kong, and
so on.
You're fine. You can come down.
Sit
She'll
down.
come down. She'll come to you.
Mom.
Just be nice. Say hi, Ludu.
Hi, Ludu.
That's my mommy, Ludu.
We have a dog that we've been pet sitting for years, but we never bring her over here. And today we did. Oh, Lulu, she doesn't like to be picked up, or I would, actually. Most dogs don't mind when we pick them up, but she doesn't really care for it.
I wanted to play
Did you come down here to say something?
Yeah.
Hang on. You can come in here. She'll be fine. Hey.
Aussie?
No. Well, you guys are getting kind of depressing there.
I'm not.
Well, what are they supposed to do if they don't have guns? And okay, you do what France is doing. You have 50 weeks of protest. But you know you're not alone.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
They're protesting all around the world. Haiti is now protesting. Haiti is protesting.
Right.
I mean, all these countries are protesting. Brexit is a protest. What we're doing here, resistance, this is a protest. You're not alone. You keep protesting knowing you're not alone.
Right. Right.
And you don't quit. The only way they can beat you is you quit.
Right.
And Alex Jones was just saying, or somebody was just saying, Lynette Zhang, the older people can't get out and protest. So they're supporting, the moms and the dads are supporting the younger kids to get out there. And so they're not alone. The whole city of Hong Kong, it's like,
go get it.
What, 10,000? 3 million people? I don't know. There's like so many million people in Hong Kong. Actually, everybody but the government officials. So I was just saying to Dale earlier, there's like 75% for you. There's so many more of us than there are, and we have to remind each other of this. Okay, we just have to keep reminding each other.
Right.
It's like 75 to like 10% because they own everything. They own the news media. They own the internet. But that's only like they say only 1% own everything. So it's only like 1 to 10% that's against you.
Yeah. Right.
It's, and I said maybe there's 10, 15% that want to stay out of it. But that leaves you 75% are for you. So we always have to remind each other every day. There's more of us than there are of them.
Yeah.
What did they say? The Jews could have wiped the Germans out. Because there were more Jews than were Nazis.
Right. But my point was not to be depressing, but to say, listen, for those of you that would be condemning.
What I'm saying, what Michelle was saying was not what are they supposed to do, but I have a hard time with violence or firebombing the police.
Right. You say the Nazis could have but
the police are on their side. You just have to, they have to remind themselves.
Yeah, right,
yeah.
Exactly. And then when there's bombing, it's probably the bad guys.
Exactly.
Trying to give them a good bad name.
That's true. That's true.
Good point.
So Avi Yamini was interviewing these Chinese.
I came down to say, what's God doing?
Right.
Right.
All this upsetting, all this protesting is God.
Yes.
Exactly. God is moving in Hong Kong, and these Hong Kong protesters are being led by the Holy Spirit.
Yeah.
You got an Aussie accent.
Oh, well,
How long you been in Australia?
9 years.
9 years.
Yeah.
You don't believe that the communist government do wrong?
No.
Many people are afraid of the Chinese government. Like me, I'm Chinese, right? I'm a mainland Chinese. If I say something bad about government, my safety is at risk, I have to say.
What would happen? If I didn't cover your face now, what would happen when you went back
I might
home?
get arrested, or my father or my mother will get like blackmail, you know, all this. I don't know. Everything's possible.
Do you prefer communism or capitalism?
Communism. Yeah.
Do you live here?
Yeah.
Why?
Because we're here to learn.
Oh, you're studying?
Yeah, studying.
So you're going to go back after?
Yeah, of course.
Oh, so you prefer communism?
Yeah.
9 years though, she says you've been there.
You don't think that the government in China does anything wrong?
No.
No wrong.
No wrong at all.
So putting people in jail for practicing religion is okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's okay.
Freedom of speech, stopping people from protesting, it's okay?
Yes.
They got it good.
Hong Kong or China? China? Do you support them?
No.
You're wearing a cross. In China, in mainland, is there freedom to religion?
No.
There's no freedom to...
I don't care about that.
Oh, you just like the cross?
Yeah, I just like it.
Do you think there should be freedom to religion?
No.
The Chinese government are literally tying religious people up, Christians and Muslims, and putting them into camps.
Yeah.
But the rest of the world, including most Islamic countries, are very quiet about this.
Yeah.
Why?
Oh, maybe because they have lack of information. But I think that if anybody with the conscience, they should raise the voice about that matter. Yeah. Because anyway, you know, we live in the society that have to be free religious and free belief. Yeah.
And free speech.
Yes, free speech, that's the main thing. Yeah.
They're not asking for independence. Is it okay for them? They want to be, they're still part of China. Is it okay for them to say that the Chinese government is not good?
No.
Not good? Why not?
No, Chinese is good.
Chinese government is good?
Yeah.
The communist government is good?
Yeah.
Even though they don't let Christians, Muslims...
In China, nobody care about that.
There's right now 1 million people in jail for practicing religion. What?
I don't use this one forever.
Why did he take his cross off? I don't understand.
Because he think like if you, yeah.
It's what?
Kind of, it's like similar to Muslims. Like say they wear something in their
So
head.
in China now, there's 1 million people in jail for crosses, or the Muslims are in jail for practicing their religion. Is that okay?
I don't even know that.
There's 1 million.
Not the same thing. Not the same thing.
What do you mean?
Just I bring this one. I think it is very beautiful.
Yeah, I understand. I understand that you don't believe in God. I get that. But is it okay for somebody to believe in God?
Yeah.
But in China?
Yeah, in China.
Even, why is there 1 million people now in jail for practicing their religion?
Because I think...
Sorry?
I don't think they obey the laws for that. Because maybe, like, you're okay to believe in something what you believe, but, like, if you actually do something weird, let's say you walk on the street and then you suddenly just go, yeah, Muslims, like that will be in jail. Well, I would be.
Mass persecution of religious people, so Christians and Muslims in mass camps.
That's the reason why is because that the Communist Party say, oh, we don't allow any religion. Our religion is Marxism and Maoism. That's the reason why all these religions are being oppressed.
And why is the rest of the world so quiet about it?
I think the world needs to know the truth.
He's talking to two different minds here.
They do know. We see the images, but they don't want to say it. You see, the rest of the world finds it easy. There are lots of people that are very vocal. When I say something about criticizing, let's say, Islam, many people are really loud. Avi, you can't say that. But then when the Chinese government are literally taking people and putting them in camps, nobody wants to say anything. Why?
Yeah. I don't know, but then I think, well, freedom of religion is important, I think. But then people are selfish. People are selfish. They think they don't care about this.
Islam, I criticize it a lot, the ideas. Yeah. But treating people and locking them up into camps, that makes me very nervous. Don't you see that position that these people would have? Or anyone?
Yeah, well, so this is like from one perspective, I guess, but from what I've heard, Xinjiang people,
yep.
They're mostly Muslims. I've met a lot of them, actually. It's not as bad as they made it out to be. Well, at least that's what I heard.
China, are you from mainland?
No, only one China.
Only one China? Yeah. What do you think they're asking for?
Stupid.
What are they asking for?
They said Hong Kong and Taiwan belongs to other nation.
Do they ask that?
Yeah. No. Only one China.
Okay, but are they asking for...
And here, watch this. This is when their handler, who is sent to watch over all these Chinese students here, comes and stops them.
So as you can see, there's a number of Chinese students that have come here, and as I tried to engage them, suddenly an older Chinese man walked up to him, a little bit older, who obviously had seen some of my great work. Gave him a little bit of an instruction not to talk to me. Give you a bit of a taste of what communist China's really like. So they tell me they don't support them because they're asking for independence, because there's one China.
Yeah.
But they're not asking for independence.
Yeah, but like they're part of China, so they should believe in China. Yeah.
Okay, but they do believe in China, they just don't believe in the Chinese communist government. Is that okay?
No. No.
It's not?
No. No. Of course it's not.
Why not? If you're in Australia, do you have to agree with the government?
Yeah.
If you
break the law.
No. You don't have to. I can say I don't like what the government is doing, and I'm going to protest. Like what they're doing. Exactly what they're doing. And I say, these are my demands. They have 5 demands. None of them are asking for independence. Is that okay? So these Hong Kong protesters, then they're saying...
They're saying Chinese government are not good.
Yes, but they're not breaking the law. They're saying
they're just like, don't think it's good.
Certain things within the government. So 5 demands. They're asking for 5. They're not asking to not be Chinese. Yeah. They actually all like being Chinese. Yeah. So do you think that that's okay?
Well, I think if they are actually Chinese, they should believe in Chinese government.
But if the government's doing something bad to you, can't you complain?
No, because if they complain, then everyone else will complain. But nobody else complains except for them.
There's a lot of people who are complaining about the Chinese government. Do you think nobody should complain because that will cause other people to complain?
Yeah. It's not fair to the ones that don't compare about China, and only they do. So I don't think we should agree them they complain.
So I guarantee you that these children are children of the rich people. And they're not having to work and do a job for $1 or $2 an hour in China. And I wanted to point this out there to show you the... she's chewing on one of our boards.
I think there's a treat under there.
Oh,
she got it.
Okay. To show you the brainwashing and the total control.
It's scary.
But the reason I show you this is because you've got to be able to see what's going on so you can combat it, so that when our government says, hey, we want to work with China, China's just our partner and blah, blah, blah. Right. China is brainwashing people. You can only believe one way. It is a religion.
Well, but I think it also goes to show the impressionability of young people. Mm-hmm. So yes, the communist mindset is
right.
far easier to identify. But when we were talking to these young people that were protesting at the Trump rally, you think that you're talking to an independent thinker because they know how to speak. But that doesn't mean anything. Young people are very, very impressionable, and if you give them information, they're really good at spitting it back out at you. And I talk about this all the time on the show, but David Barton talks about how kids used to be taught how to it's called apologetics, and they would be able to look at, it's debating, and look at both sides of an issue and argue both sides of the issue, because if you understand both sides of the issue to the point where you could make their argument for them, then you can independently decide what the truth is for you.
Exactly. So
wait, I got a couple comments on here on Periscope, actually, on Twitter. One said, that gave me chills. Yes, God is working. The other one says, those students have to say that on camera or they'll lose their Chinese financial support.
Exactly.
That's a very, very good point. On YouTube, we've got when the state becomes a false idol. So that's a really, really good point. Storm Bear says, Germany does the same thing to its citizens. They brainwash them in government schools. No homeschooling allowed.
Exactly. Yeah, very, very well said. Rod Rosenstein. Now, he was Deputy Attorney General under Jeff Sessions. And he helped pen a letter getting Comey fired. Okay?
Okay.
Now, you know this.
Yes.
Okay, you were thinking something else.
No, I'm actually just getting really frustrated at our lighting issues and my constantly having to adjust it. But the Lord is going to help me figure it out, I know.
Yeah, okay. So, through the Freedom of Information Act,
FOIA,
Judicial Watch has uncovered
Tom Fitton,
the snake that Rod Rosenstein is. And I quote, I am with Mueller. He shares my views. Duty calls. Sometimes the moment chooses us. Rod Rosenstein, one day before Mueller was appointed as special counsel. Rod Rosenstein chose Mueller. He was in on the presidential coup the entire time. Remember the whole wiretap thing? Do you wear a wire?
Yeah.
New emails obtained through the FOIA Act lawsuit revealed the details surrounding communications between the Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein and Robert Mueller in the days. So what they had to do was they had to convince Jeff Sessions to step down so they could get their guy in, which is Rod Rosenstein, right? In the days leading up to the former FBI director's appointment as special counsel in the Russia probe, Mueller would go on to assemble a team comprising of 13 angry Democrats, as Trump calls them, due to their obvious animus towards the president. According to the 145 pages of documents obtained by Judicial Watch, Rosenstein and Mueller were discussing, just 3 days after President Trump fired FBI Director Comey, and ostensibly for some time before that. The boss and his staff do not know about our discussions, Rosenstein wrote Mueller May 12, 2017, as the two tried to nail down a time for their next conversation. Remember, he helped write the memo saying we should fire Comey.
Right.
This is why Trump was so confused. 4 days later, on May 16th, the day before Mueller's appointment, Rosenstein told former Bush administration Deputy Attorney General on current Kirkland and Ellis pardon Mark Phillip, I am with Mueller. He shares my views, duty calls, sometimes a moment chooses us. And on May 17th, Rosenstein appointed former FBI Director Mueller to investigate Russian meddling into the 2016 presidential election. Also during the same time period, between May 8th and May 17th, Rosenstein met with the then acting FBI Director Andrew McCabe and other senior Justice Department officials to discuss wearing a wire and invoking the 25th Amendment to remove President Trump.
Oh my gosh.
Meanwhile, Rosenstein was in contact with 60 Minutes, the New York Times, and the Washington Post during the same time period. In an email exchange dated May 2017, Rosenstein communicated with the New York Times reporter Rebecca Roots to provide background for this article about himself. Roots emailed Rosenstein a draft of the article, and he responded with the off-the-record comments and clarifications. In an email exchange on the day of Mueller's appointment, Rosenstein exchanged emails with 60 Minute reporter Catherine Davis, in which he answered off-the-record questions of Mueller's scope of authority and chain of command. Off the record, this special counsel is a DOJ employee. His status is similar to a U.S. attorney. Davis says, good call on
DOJ. You said
Mueller.
DOJ.
Oh, sorry. Davis says, good call on Mueller, although I obviously thought you'd be great at leading the investigation, too. On May 17, 2017, in an email exchange with the Washington Post, journalist Sari Horowitz and the subject line, Special Counsel Rosenstein and Horowitz exchanged, Rod Rosenstein. At some point, I owe you a long story, but this is not the right time for me to talk to anybody. Horowitz, now, I see why you couldn't talk today. Obviously, we're writing a big story about this. Is there any chance I could talk to you about your background and about your decision? These astonishing emails further confirm the corruption behind Rosenstein's appointment of Robert Mueller. The emails show a shockingly cozy relationship between Rob Rosenstein and the anti-Trump media reporters.
Okay, so
this is Rob Rosenstein's attorney general. The attorney general is there actually to protect the president. That is why the president gets to appoint the attorney general.
Right.
This is your point man. This is your guy who you get to make sure he goes. Obama had it, Bush had it, Clinton had it, for better or for worse. Loretta Lynch, hello, meeting with Clinton on the tarmac. The attorney general, telling Comey, call it a matter. That's your point guy. That is your prerogative as president to have your own attorney general. They got Jeff Sessions out, and they knew they could swish in Rod Rosenstein. Now, before you say something, as mom would like to make sure, I think in my back of my head all the good things. I bring to you the news because I want to get through the stories. But what I do need to point out to you is that this is good news. Because the deep state, was it 2019? In 2016, the deep state was a pejorative term. It was a put down. When you said the term deep state, you were automatically put into a camp of conspiracy theorists,
tinfoil hats,
and they were, and you basically believed that in every conspiracy theory known to mankind that people didn't walk on the moon.
Right.
Here go ahead, fight it out in the chat. But basically, you were just like a nutcase. And the only way for the rats to come out is to shine a light. And God allowed this to happen. We know it's God because so far President Trump has not been taken out.
Right.
Okay? So this
I think about that all the time.
Super persecution. However, Trump is the man for the job. God spoke to me and said he will complete his task. God put Trump in this position because he is literally the only man on planet Earth who could stand, for better or for worse, against the deep state. Whether it is an innate in him, whether it is God in him, whether it is just his narcissism or whatever he's got going on inside of him, Trump is the only guy that could stand the onslaught of the constant attack in order to draw out the poison, in order to draw out the enemy. And he knows what is happening. He knew as soon as he started calling it the fake news media, they would go ballistic. Okay? But he is one of those guys that does feed off of it. It makes him stronger. He is a fighter. It's what gets him up in the morning. It's what helps him sleep well at night. Because he knows he's doing the right thing and he's not doing anything wrong. And he doesn't have the same emotional sway that you and I have. I have a friend of mine, or not a friend of mine. I have friends. If friends get a little disappointed at me, it makes me so sad.
Yeah.
It doesn't make Trump sad.
Yeah.
Okay? You need to have that kind of almost emotionless stance on things, but he gets positive. He just doesn't allow the negative to feed inside of him.
Yeah.
He allows the positive in, but he doesn't allow the negative in. And it's an amazing thing. And he allows the rest of the world, okay? We could have 100 good comments and we think about the one negative one.
It's true.
If Trump has 50 bad comments and 50 good comments, it's a good day. It's a great day. He could have 20-80. It's a good day. He focuses on the good comments. He focuses on the good that's happening.
Yeah.
Okay? And we all could learn from that.
Right. The only thing that I was going to say, which has nothing to do with that, before you got on that actual, my good news out of all this, is I remember when our township and some neighbors were coming after us for keeping our pigs. I also remember it was a really stressful time. And I remember when our family was trying to take our house from us and stuff. Really, really stressful times. And
you're okay. She won't get you.
It was hard to eat. It was hard to sleep. It was hard to function as a human being. And I think about all these people that actually have yet to be named, who are not famous, who are literally sitting in the sidelines in the background going, how long is it before my name comes up, before I'm exposed? Like, these people, they can't be they have to be like
See, John Brennan and
this
James
all
Clapper,
the time.
they don't have the same stuff that Trump has. They were afraid.
Yeah.
Well, it's a scripture. Train a child up in the way as you go, and when he gets old, he won't depart.
Right.
And he was raised under the church of
positivity.
Norman Vincent Peale, who taught the power of positive thinking.
Right.
So he started the whole thing in the 1950s.
Yeah.
So he was raised under that power of positive thinking.
And Mom's right. For if you couldn't hear Patriot Gallery there, Trump went to a church of Norman Vincent Peale, and he literally was the kind of founder of the power of positive thinking. Now, however you want to take that religious wise, that's up to you. But there's psychology to that.
So just a little bit to let you know, even the Washington Post gave Adam Shifty Schiff 4 Pinocchios for saying
a liar.
He said that he did not have any contact with this whistleblower, and he did, and we all believe that he helped write it. All right, so if you guys didn't see this, we're moving on to the eating babies part.
Man.
Now it is a
I
plant.
don't want to watch it again.
It is a plant, and it's almost funner to watch it as it not being a plant, but I'm going to ruin it for you. Just as we anticipated, the woman who confronted AOC at her town hall in Corona was in fact a plant sent by a pro-Trump group. And here's the thing, pro-Trumpers called it from the beginning. They're like, this woman is awesome. It's so believable. It's hard to unbelieve it.
I have to admit something. I haven't watched it because I don't want to watch it.
You're gonna watch it.
I don't want to watch it.
So, Let the Eat the Babies woman has ties to LaRouche PAC, a right-wing group that supports President Trump. The group was founded by former communist Lyndon LaRouche. LaRouche, who died earlier this year at the age of 96, was one of the original American political provocateurs. LaRouche's followers took credit for the prank in a tweet Thursday night, claiming that sometimes only satire works. The clip has gone viral. Even Donald Trump tweeted it out. Let's just watch it. And I am proud of her. I'm so proud of this because it exposes the craziness, and it makes Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez the only adult in the room for 1 second. Okay.
So much long because of the climate crisis. We only have a few months left. I love that you support the Green Deal, but it's not getting rid of fossil fuel. It's not going to solve the problem fast enough. A Swedish professor saying, we can eat dead people, but that's not fast enough. So I think your next campaign slogan has to be this: we got to start eating babies. We don't have enough time. There's too much CO2. All of you, you're a pollutant. Too much CO2. We have to start now, please. You are so great. I'm so happy that you're really supporting the Green Deal, but it's not enough. Even if we would bomb Russia, we still have too many people, too much pollution. So we have to get rid of the babies. That's a big problem. Just stopping having babies is not enough. We need to eat the babies, and this is very serious. Please give a response.
No, thank you. We'll go ahead. Okay. No, we'll go ahead. It's so no. Yeah, no. Thank you. So I think So one of the things that's very important to us is that we need to treat the climate crisis with the urgency that it does present.
This has had almost 10 million views. And here's the thing. What she does not say here is we don't need to eat babies.
We have more than a few months. We do need to hit net zero in several years. But I think we all need to understand that there are a lot of solutions that we have and that we can pursue. And that if we act in a positive way, there's space for hope.
There's space for hope. She's on television saying, we only have 12 years. We only have 12 years. And this woman's like, we have to eat the babies. And so Eat the Babies trended on Twitter yesterday. It was the funniest thing I've seen. And Eat the Children is still trending on Twitter. Eat the Children is still trending. Eat the Babies.
It
hurts me. Joe Pollock from Breitbart says, I don't know how you eat children without separating families.
That's excellent.
The
Oh my
overall
gosh.
point is that the Democrat Party has gone so far left that Eat the Children is actually a plausible platform for them. People believed it. Because a Swedish professor came out and said we need to start eating human flesh.
Yeah, we covered that a couple of weeks ago. I want to get to some comments here, but let me see if I can get this lighting adjusted here before we do. So, let me see. AOC is not shocked, says Edward Wallace.
Here we have babies going in the office.
Baker Mom says, wow, I've heard everything. Abominable Snowman says, yeah, it's a troll. It's amusing.
Eating people is wrong. There's a Ken.
Awesome troll. Let's see. She is faking a Swedish accent as well. Too attractive to be a lefty. She's trolling. She's not the only adult in the room. She didn't denounce the eat babies remark. PB&J on babies is what Swedish socialists recommend. That's really disgusting. Nobody there disagreed with her, I noticed, said Jim West. Yeah, this is awful. It's just disgusting and violent. Oh my gosh.
So eat the babies. Or don't actually eat the babies. It's probably not a good idea. Please don't eat the babies. Speaking of babies.
That was difficult.
I gotta go over this again and again because I want to keep this story in the light. In the light. Remember STEM Express and how we had the Center for Medical Progress exposed Planned Parenthood letting babies die after they were born and selling baby parts. Well, under Kamala Harris, then Attorney General of California, who was friends, obviously, with everybody from Planned Parenthood,
right,
decided that they were going to sue the Centers for Medical Progress. Now, this trial began on Wednesday in San Francisco. It should be reversed. Planned Parenthood should be the one facing trial, but they're not. So I want you guys to say your prayers. And this is what keeps happening. The pit that the Democrats keep digging for the good guys. They do keep falling in. Now, they don't have a very impartial judge in this because the uptick to having this trial is that the Center for Medical Progress, the good guys, were undercover journalists. Now, if you can prove that you were trying to expose a crime, then you are protected.
That's a
but
dumb
some
moment.
of the judge is not allowing some of the evidence in to prove that there were crimes happening.
Yeah.
However, if we keep it going enough, we can keep talking about it. Planned Parenthood's lawsuit alleges that Daladin and the CMP committed 15 different crimes, including wiretapping, conspiracy, trespassing, breach of confidentiality. Daladin's defense team is arguing the project in question was not a criminal conspiracy, but an undercover journalism project that remains to be seen over the 6 to 8 weeks trial. Peter Breen, lead defense attorney, vice president, and senior counsel at the Thomas More Society, said Planned Parenthood's strategy from day one has been to deny the use of any evidence related to the fetal tissue trafficking, the born alive infants, or its profiting from the sale of human fetal tissue. You can't keep out from the lawsuit the reason why the entire project was undertaken. You can't have a trial without telling people that they were doing it, what they were doing in there and why they were there. That has a significant bearing on how you view the project. Planned Parenthood's lead attorney is one of the world's largest law firms. Okay, they have, and this Abby Johnson had the same setup against her, and we saw that in the movie Unplanned. So I'm praying that this will turn around in their favor. But I wanted to make sure that I put that forth for you guys. Eat the babies.
No more eating babies. I can't handle
I do want to point something out like this because this was a story that came out in September, and it was highly disturbing to me. And we talk about vaccines and we talk about different things on this show, and this is an important story for all of you to understand. Doctors actually took a newborn baby from her parents after they refused a vitamin K shot for her. Now, vitamin K shot will clot a baby's blood because babies don't have good clotting ability as soon as they're born. It takes a while to build up. However, You don't have to have your baby have a vitamin K shot, and there are adverse effects to the vitamin K shot. And a lot of parents believe that babies are born the way God intended them to be born, and they don't want foreign things inside their babies. You have to have the vitamin K shot if you're going to circumcise your son. The doctors won't perform it. And that, that makes sense. Now the couple is suing the hospitals and the DCFS. In the moments after Angela Bauer, this is the family here, gave birth last winter, she and her husband, a suburban Chicago pastor, were eager to hold their new baby girl. But as Bauer was being treated in the delivery room, the couple contends a nurse picked up the infant to administer the vitamin K shot, a common practice in maternity wards across the country to help the baby's blood clotting ability in case of an emergency. Bauer said they are not anti-vaxxers or against any procedure they believe to be medically necessary, but they didn't think the shot was in that category. They had agreed to sign a waiver confirming their wishes that the new baby, their fifth child, not receive the vitamin K based on their beliefs that God's creation isn't automatically deficient or flawed at birth. But instead of offering them a form, the Bauers allege the nurse announced she was reporting the couple to the Illinois Department of Children and Family Services and left the room with the newborn, didn't even get to hold the baby. And it would be 12 hours before they got their child back. I honestly could not understand what was going on. I was in total shock. I've never had my baby. I've never not had my baby right away. The episode was a result of a controversial DCFS policy that classified parents' refusal of their newborn's vitamin K shot as medical neglect. Now, you would think that the hospital, before you have your baby, would let you know, because there is a form that you can sign. It's a waiver, but they weren't told that ahead of time. They were just, baby's gone. A move that thrust the agency into a contentious debate over the rights of parents to make decisions about their children's care. The policy was rescinded a year ago as agency leaders sought to ensure that DCFS wasn't overstepping its boundaries of state law and determined the shots should not be classified as medically necessary. Making that kind of determination falls outside the confines of our statutory and professional mission and judgment. But get this, there were 138 families that were investigated because of the vitamin K shot refusals. Officials found evidence of medical neglect in 7 cases. On Monday, the Bauers and several other parents filed a sweeping, and this was about a week ago, federal lawsuit accusing the agency and its current and former leaders and a number of doctors in 3 hospitals of violating their constitutional rights just after the birth of their children. Hours that should have been filled with happiness and family photos were instead filled with uncertainty, they said, as their children were temporarily taken into protective custody.
Unbelievable.
And they were made to feel like criminals. The lawsuit contends that the DCFS and the medical staff broke state and federal law by improperly seizing newborns and threatening to do so. Said a lawyer for the family. It alleges the doctors continued to coerce the parents, citing the inevitability of this intervention, even though they knew the policy had actually been rescinded already. The families said they were traumatized by their experience and are seeking monetary damages and a stop of the practice once and for all. There are several hospitals in this lawsuit: the University of Chicago Medical Center, Advocate Christ Medical Center, Silver Cross Hospital. The hospitals each declined to comment. And so there are a number of factors to determine what would lead into an investigation. But if the medical professional believes a case to be life-threatening, but this is not life-threatening, some people, there are other optional procedures, a blood screening and eye ointment. And there was another couple, the Holdermans, who had to endure a 5-week investigation after they declined the vitamin K shot and the blood screening and the eye ointment. So they, so I wanted to point that out. The Bauers and the Holdermans said the procedure conflicted with their Christian values. Our belief that God created every baby with a certain amount of vitamin K, and that's what they need at birth.
So, you know, it's very interesting to me. The medical profession is, by and large, considered a part of the scientific community that believes in evolution, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And within evolution, we are supposed to be evolving to become better and better, and our bodies to be able to withstand more things. And so, if for a minimum of 6,000 years, people have been being born without their vitamin K shot, and we've managed this far, the fact that now they're saying if you don't get it, this is child neglect.
Right.
It really just goes to show how power hungry these people are, and it goes back to the pharmaceutical companies, frankly. And
somebody's making money off of
big
this.
money.
Right. So I wanted to let you know that was out there and that was a thing. Let's see.
And I think that's also why more home births are on the rise.
Yeah.
Because people don't want to be caught in a situation like that. Unfortunately,
No, I wouldn't want to.
if you're trying to do a home birth and then something happens, then you have to go to the hospital and you're stuck.
Right.
That would be really terrifying.
Are you ready for something funny, though?
Yes, funny. Bill Barr.
Giving remarks to the SEC Criminal Coordination Conference, Attorney General Barr said he was asked what country he was going to next. As we know, he's globe-trotting, trying to investigate the investigators. That's good news. I don't talk enough about it because it's like kind of hush-hush. So I don't really want to draw too much attention to it because I want them to do their thing.
Well,
right?
But yeah, your attention to it's not going to make anybody.
You know what I mean? Okay, so investigating the investigators. That's what Barr's doing. And I'm very excited about this.
You're like Tucker.
However,
okay,
listen to what he says about what country he's going to go to next.
And I'd also like to express gratitude for the restraint that the press has shown here today in not yelling questions at me. I was out touring a state yesterday, and all day people were yelling these questions at me. I only answered one. They yelled out, "What country are you going to next, Mr. Barr?" And I said, "Greenland." And I'd also like to express...
Trump was going to buy Greenland. Oh my God. So he's going to go there to buy Greenland.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I thought that was so funny.
You have an attorney general that has a sense of humor. Mm-hmm. All these people are so uptight. I mean, so you've got Schiff saying, "Oh, it was just parody." Well, Schiff, I've never seen you give any kind of parody or comedy of any sort heretofore.
You're okay.
It's not keeping with your personality.
All right, so let us go to Donald Trump's Twitter feed. Dun-dun-dun,
we should have a little segue moment there. It's really
because
great.
it's always awesome. I am always entertained. There's never a dull moment. And I love that President Trump tweets. I don't understand the Republicans that don't like it because I want to hear what he's saying.
Yeah.
It used to be thinking. I want to hear what he's thinking and saying. But it used to be that it took forever and we had to listen to boring speeches and we had to wait for a State of the Union. It was all blah, 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 blah. And now in an instant, we can know what's going through Trump's head. He can respond. He doesn't have to have a press conference. He doesn't have to go through. He doesn't even have there's no stuck Sarah Huckabee Sanders anymore because they don't even have one anymore. I think they do, but like nobody, she doesn't do anything. Right? It's just Trump straight to the people because that's the way he likes it. And that's the way I like it. That's the way. We like it. That's the way. Okay. So here we have, I'm sure Disney's going to pull this. Lying Shifty Shift. This is from Donald Trump.
Be a good boy and always let your conscience be your guide.
Have you heard from the whistleblower? Do you want to hear from the whistleblower? We have not spoken directly with the whistleblower.
Just to be clear, you don't know who this alleged whistleblower is or what they are alleging.
I don't know the identity of the whistleblower. He clearly gave no indication that he had ever met with the whistleblower or anybody on his team had ever met with a whistleblower.
We might not have even known there was a whistleblower complaint alleging an urgent concern.
Schiff was tipped off about the complaint days before it was filed.
His office acknowledged that the whistleblower had reached out to a staff member.
How does he explain that when clearly at that point the whistleblower had come to Chairman Schiff's committee?
I believe he destroyed his credibility. And he just wasn't honest with how he answered these questions.
Perhaps you haven't been telling the truth. Oh, but I have. Every single word. Now remember, Pinocchio.
So that is Donald Trump. And we really have to thank the meme makers for making our life so much better.
Yeah.
My life is so much better with Donald Trump on Twitter. He's going to be in Minneapolis, Minnesota next Thursday. So if you're up there, go visit. So now let's read some of his little threads here. When you're making an unsubstantiated charge that the President of the United States is making a request having to do with the quid pro quo, this witness has blown a big hole into that statement. The ambassador put a dagger into the heart of Schiff's fairy tale. So you asked about that? That was the ambassador. Dagger into the heart of Schiff's fairy tale?
Yeah.
Adam Schiff's connection to the whistleblower is coming to light. via Fox News. These facts and others make it impossible for the ridiculous impeachment scam to go forward. Schiff has also committed a crime, perhaps treason, in making up a horrible statement and reading it to Congress and the American people as though it was the statement of the President of the United States, me. He did it to fool Congress and the public in order to make me look bad. He is a sick puppy. And Nancy Pelosi, she could be investigated now because she went on one of these mainstream fake news and said Schiff didn't make up what Trump said.
No.
We all know that within 2 seconds, the Congress people are like, he's making stuff up. And he's like, yeah, he's making it up. And Pelosi said he didn't make anything up. She's also cuckoo, or she's lying, or she's just obviously
a little bit of both there.
Yeah, so Pelosi's messing that up. So I guess we're gonna watch
jobs
this.
Report of a full month of the Trump presidency showed the economy added 235,000 jobs.
The year closed out with an unexpectedly strong jobs report. But President Trump is enjoying one of the strongest economies of any first-term president.
The latest jobs report exceeding expectations.
Collar boom, hashtag blue collar boom. And you know, we are neither here nor there we're actually there. But when it comes to the economy, I have to say that Trump, being a businessman, as far as economy goes, it's through the roof.
Yeah.
Okay, there's 135,000 jobs added. I want you to be self-employed. I don't want you to have a job. I want you to be on a farm. However, according to their rules, the fact that they're not reporting on it means they're incredibly biased.
Yeah.
Right? You see, I have just officially nominated Poland for entry into the visa waiver program. With this decades-long awaited announcement, we are in the final steps of the process, which, when complete, would grant Polish nationals visa-free business and tourism travel to the U.S. and vice versa.
Wow.
Our Polish friends, they're coming to see me. You can do it visa-free. They come on over. They come and see us, and then they go back home. But come and see us. Come and see us.
So
come and see us.
That's pretty incredible.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Visa-free business and tourism travel to the United States. And we can go visa-free. Let's go to Poland. Here we go. All right. Let's see. What else is he tweeting out? Okay, the Young Black Leadership was tweeted out earlier. Wow, this is big stuff. Since the ICIG has no evidence whatsoever about the relationship and contacts between the whistleblower and Schiff's staff, the investigation has to get that information from other fact witnesses who also happen to be running the investigation. And then so much about the witness. Now, this is very interesting because I hear on Twitter all the time, I'm going to lower it, don't worry. I hear all the time that Trump hasn't built any new sections of wall. Well, that is a misnomer because the whole point of building the wall is to put up wall not where there was no barrier before, but where there was bad barriers before. Okay? So here we have Trump showing, of course, walls are being built. This is being built here, and this was the old barrier. That's not a wall. That's not even a barrier. What is that?
It's not going to stop anybody.
Okay, that's not going to stop anybody or anything at any time. So yeah, that's a wall, and that's new wall being built.
Unbelievable.
Okay, so people are just stupid. Anything else? Nancy Pelosi today on Good Morning America actually said that Adam Shifty Schiff didn't fabricate my words in a major speech before Congress. She either had no idea what she was saying, or in other words, lost it, or she lied.
Wow.
So, all right, it's all about the fake news media and the corruption in the media. So I think we don't need, I don't know, anymore. What is this? Donald Trump tweeting out Melania Trump. First day in Wyoming. Met with the Jackson District Boy Scouts at the Elk Antler Arches in the town square, learning about their conservation efforts. Well, let's just see this. Donald Trump tweeted it out. I want to go back to Wyoming. Wyoming is so beautiful.
Move. There you go.
Aw, there she goes.
She's so awesome.
Yes. Oh, so beautiful.
It is really beautiful.
Well,
really
that's
fun.
had 1 million views.
That's super fun.
That is fun. All right, witch hunt, all that great stuff. We're done with the witch hunts. So, guys, to sum things up, we're winning because every time it looks like. I mean, seriously, you have. It was so funny. Lauren Ingram tweeted out, because we have Mitt Romney in Utah as a senator,
right?
But and he is very much anti-Trump, saying, "Ooh, there might be something there," right? But we don't have Cotton and we don't have Flake, who really, really hated Trump. They're gone. Okay, we're done with them. The only other person is Ben Sass, who is pretty much anti-Trump, but he snidely remarks every once in a while. Not like Jeff Flake and not like Tom Cotton.
Right.
So they are gone. Praise the Lord. And so now we have to deal with Mitt Romney. And unfortunately, as a senator, he's in there for 6 years. But we have still have to deal with him. But all in all, it's been a pretty good week and a run for the president, because what this does, it's like it's not that he's just not even going to be impeached. It's that it really makes the Democrats look bad to the average Americans, because what happens is that the protections are going to come out, and the news has to report on it. They have to report on, and they did report on the fact that Adam Schiff met with this guy, and get this, the whistleblower signed under penalty of federal perjury that he had it's empty.
We're signing off.
That he had no contact with the Democrats beforehand. And so IG Horowitz, can you guys get her some water real quick? IG Horowitz, thank you. IG Horowitz I think it was Horowitz who looked at it. But anyways, I want you to be as happy and excited as I am, because every time something, and here's the thing though, they tried to play the Russian script a second time with Ukraine, but it didn't really play out very well, because Ukraine and Russia are enemies. Yeah. So, and Ukraine has no nuclear weapons. It's not a threat to us. So to say, oh my gosh, the Ukraine is not the same as Russia, Mother Russia. You know what I mean? So they Tim Pool said, who's ever running the simulation, you need new writers, because you just ran the same script again. Yeah. And we understood season 1 was over. Don't try to play the same season again. Yeah. It's not going to work. You have less proof, worse characters. Right? And at the same time, the reason they're doing this is AG Barr is investigating the investigators. Brennan was on a major...
I'm telling you, they're all afraid. They have to be afraid.
Brennan was on a major network and was like, I got a notice that I'm being part of this investigation, and I don't see why anybody would need to investigate the FISA court or anything. Like, we did it, and that's enough. Now, I also heard this on Tucker Carlson, that the CIA agents behind the scenes are saying that they hate Rudy Giuliani because he's not part of, and it's not even behind the scene. He quoted this on Tucker, that Rudy Giuliani thinks that he can just come right in here and mess with our brotherhood. That the CIA is a brotherhood and he can just come in like a tornado. So I'm going to pray right now for Rudy Giuliani. I never thought I would do this. I thought he was like an arrogant man. But you know what? Rudy Giuliani is a mini Trump.
Yeah.
So he's the only other guy God could use.
I actually don't care for him, but I agree.
God had to be, okay, who can stand up to these people? Who has a backbone? Yeah. And he went, Trump. And then he went, Rudy Giuliani. And everybody's like, what? You're a little bit cray-cray. But you know what he did? He stood up, and you don't know this, but he stood up to mob bosses and mob families. He stared them right in the eye in New York City, and he cleaned up New York City, and he cleaned up that crime.
He did.
And he didn't care if anybody said that stop and search was racist. He stopped and he searched. Okay, and he got crime down to a level where our friend Ashley is like, I feel so safe in New York City. Well, you didn't pre-Giuliani, now did you? You didn't. Giuliani cleaned the streets up. Okay, he got a lot of the major crime syndicates.
I would like to
put in
see
jail.
Robert Duvall play Giuliani. I think he's probably too old for that now. But
I know.
But like a younger Robert Duvall playing Giuliani would be just epic.
Oh, it'd be magnificent. Yeah, they're perfect.
So on that note, we do need to go.
Do we have to go somewhere?
This dog needs to go home.
That dog does need to go home. But she also needs to be walked first. Hey, puppy. Hey, puppy.
I could get her another treat. It's the best I can do.
Do you want to have a Holy Ghost moment here, or do you want to go home first?
Let me get her a treat. She might try and follow me upstairs, though.
Do your Holy Ghost. Well, I would do a whole nother segment, and I'm just wondering if we should like come back at 10 o'clock and do it, or do it another day, do it tomorrow, do it Sunday. I've got something for you guys. Kind of like a churchy sermon-y thing, and I really want to bring it to you guys. I got some songs. We do our mega church, and we are gonna sign off here. And I want to do it a separate night, a separate day, so you guys aren't, overwhelmed with Resistance Chicks and things to watch with Resistance Chicks, and that is a-okay. But just know, guys, that the Holy Spirit is moving, and I want to share with you guys some amazing keys and tips on what you can do to turn this country around, what you can do in your apartment or motorhome or house or farm or wherever you're at. God has given us all the things we need to turn this country around. And when we work together and everybody is moving in the Holy Spirit, and every person is every Christian and even like people who agree with Christianity, God has assembled an army. And what's so funny is people just be walking down the street, and he examines the hearts of all these people, and he's like, oh, Paul Joseph Watson, I like you. You're on our side. Come here. I'm going to use you. Oh, I'm going to use you over here. Candace Owens, I'm going to use you over here. These are household names. These weren't household names pre-2016.
Sure.
God is raising a misfit army of people. I see them all over, and I want you to get on Twitter and I want you to start following these people and follow more people, because you got black people, Hispanic people. There's a transgender person who's pro-Trump. And I guess they want Donald Trump to do hashtag his walk away thing. So I guess I will end with that as a good news, and we are going to have a Holy Ghost service. And at some point within the next couple days. So this is a message to Donald Trump from September 30th. He still hasn't made it yet, but...
President Trump, I'm Brandon Strock, the creator of the hashtag Walkaway campaign. Since you are the original Walkaway and you have changed so many lives in the last few years since you ran for president, including my own,
Brandon, come back
there it
to
is.
us.
You, President Trump, will you please make your are the original Walkaway, and you have changed so many lives in the last few years since you ran for president, including my own. We, the people...
Kind of make him small. Brandon, come back to us. Brandon, come back to us. Hang on, technical difficulties. You just left
to hear from you. President Trump, will you please make your walkaway video? You are the original walkaway.
This is Joy Villa asking you, urging you to make your walkaway video now. The American public deserves to hear your story, how you transitioned, how you became the incredible American leader that you are today, leading us to freedom. We want to hear it. Make your walkaway video.
President Trump, you were admired and loved by liberals for decades. You must have a great walkaway story. When did you walk away?
Didn't you walk away? Didn't you come to the realization that it was time to leave the Democrat Party behind? Please do a video.
If you had not run for president, I would still be a liberal. I would still be blindly following the fake news and believing all the leftist myths and narratives. Thank you so much for everything you've done to save America. And I just want to ask you for one more thing. President Trump, please tell us your walkaway story. Make a walkaway video for Walkaway Campaign.
Please, please, please make your debut walkaway video. We all would love to hear your walkaway story. And everyone else, tweet him using the hashtag below.
So I really hope that he does it because I think it'll be really fun and I think it'll go viral.
Let's pressure the president to make his walkaway video by using the hashtag below. Let's get that walkaway video from President Trump.
Help us convince the president to do a walkaway video using the hashtag below.
All right, people of America, it's up to us. Let's get President Trump's attention and let's let President Trump know that we want to hear his walkaway story. Help us get his attention by tweeting at him and using the hashtag below.
It's so awesome.
So create
It's really
your own
fun.
video imploring President Trump to tell us walkaway story in a video. Use the hashtag Trump walks away, hashtag walkaway, and tweet at real Donald Trump. So if you guys want to be part of that, there's a lot of walkaway videos online. So it says, it just exploded. Walkaway movement grows as former Democrats leave the party, from CBN. What I love about that is that is CBN. That's the Christian Broadcasting Network. Brandon Straka Gay. Awesome to me.
Yeah, that is really great.
So we're seeing a lot of hashtag walkaway, and there we go. So, all right. So get excited. One day this week, maybe not tomorrow, maybe not a Sunday, maybe the Mondays or the Tuesdays. We are going to have a Holy Ghost revival service here where we're going to pray for our country, we're going to pray for our nation, and we're going to bring some scriptures, and we're going to ignite, hopefully
You were going to try to do all that tonight?
Yeah. But we're going to ignite a fire underneath of you guys.
Okay.
So that what can I do? I'm going to show you what you can do. And I'm going to give you the roadmap and the instruction manual on how to find the tools that God has inside of you to bring this country back to its proper foundation under Jesus Christ. Many of you, maybe you know, maybe you don't know, I went to Bible college. I am a minister. I am an ordained minister of Isaiah 58 Ministries. I went to school, Rhema Bible College, in the years of 98 through 2000. And I graduated with a degree, if you can have a certificate, in evangelism. Now, the charismatic movement, the Word of Faith movement, it's not exactly my vein right now, because we're kind of back to the earth homesteader type people. So God, I feel, has us have a larger umbrella right now than just the Word of Faith people. We're gonna leave here in a second. So I'm very excited about this, and I'm very excited to show every Christian, regardless of your denomination, regardless of, and not even just Christians, because I believe that God's umbrella is getting wider and wider and wider. He's literally calling everybody in who believes in the principles of Christianity. The Bible says if you're not against us,
you're for us.
Then you're for us. And so God's umbrella is getting wider and wider and wider. And what I'm praying for as a believer in Christ, that as God has created this large umbrella, that all the people under the umbrella who believe that the Christian principles are right, there's a lot of people tipping on the edge, right? I see a Stephen Molyneux. I don't know about Jesus really rising from the dead. I see a Mike Cernovich. I love Christianity, but Jesus rising from the dead, I'm just not so sure. I'm not ready to make him Lord and Savior of my life. Their brains get in the way. So I want to bypass your brain, and I want to hit you with the power of God, because you won't be able to understand who Jesus is with your mind. You can see the effects of the wind, but I want to show you the wind. I want to bring the wind to you. And I want you guys who are watching us, who most of you have this wind, to start blowing this wind, and you know what I mean. This out your spirit, not out your ear end. Okay? To start moving this power of God, because it's already moving. And we're waiting for the scales to tip. the scales to tip. And I'm telling you, that tipping scale is the power of the Holy Spirit. Bam! You got it. I got it. Let's spread it. And we don't even have to preach it. I want to show you the tools. And so where you go, allow the Holy Spirit to speak forth from you in prayer, with your family, with your friends, making YouTube videos, writing posts on Facebook, things that you might not have wanted to post before, and things maybe in your mind you wanted to write things down, but the Holy Spirit will show you how to write it differently so that people can feel the power of God, because that's how we change their minds. We don't change people's minds by keyboard worrying people. Worrying people. We change them through the power of God and the power of the Holy Spirit that brings love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, gentleness, and what?
Self-control. I think you forgot faithfulness, but
we want to be faithful too.
All of them.
The fruit of the Spirit is love. Go ahead, Michelle.
The fruit of the Spirit is joy. Woo! With peace and patience and gentleness, goodness, kindness, and faithfulness. Woo! And then you add the self-control. And that's what makes the fruit grow.
And that is why Christianity is spread across the world, because of these great fruits of the Holy Spirit.
Yeah.
So if we want to stop the deep state and the satanic control, we're only doing to do it with the power of God and the Holy Ghost. So
that's why we can actually deliver the news, and Patriot Gallery has to come down and remind us to tell you the good news part, because we already feel it.
Right.
So
ain't no party like a
Holy Ghost party, because the Holy Ghost party don't stop.
All right, guys.
We love you. God loves you. God bless. Yes. Kelly's been putting all of our stuff in the chat, so thank you for that, Kelly. She's got us for Blogspot, Twitter.
Awesome.
We're on Instagram now as well. You can send us your letters, P.O. Box 107,
Kelly
Milford,
TV
Ohio,
fam,
45150.
What I'm talking about.
I don't know if you're going to be able to catch that with Leah over talking.
Start again.
45. P.O. Box 107. Milford, Ohio, 45150. Send us your letters. We will read them on air. Thank you to all of you who support us just by watching, leaving comments, sharing our videos. It means the world to us. It seems like we've been less censored on Twitter. We've got more people watching on Periscope than we have in a while. But we are still censored on Facebook. But you know what? God knows, and we keep trudging on.
God knows He's going to turn it around. And guess what, guys? The whole censorship thing, it's going to work out for our good in the end.
It is.
It is going to work out for our good. It's going to turn it around. They're going to fall in their own trap.
Yes.
That's what the Lord keeps speaking to me. I want you to get excited, because the censorship trap, everything. My mom always told me, you win
if you don't give up. Speaking of my mom, I want you guys to watch the video that I put out last night.
And your video from last night, and then she's got 2 videos.
And Patriot Gallery does have 2 videos from earlier this week. So go to our videos on Mass Faith 3 and on Resistance Chicks. Just go to the channel there, and then go to videos, and that's where everything is. But last night I did part of our story, and it's
I want you guys to watch this. I watched it last night. The power of God hit me. You want the power of God? Hear our story.
Yeah.
Our background, where we came from, why we do what we do.
And this is just a small part of our story. Boss Taurus had said, would you consider doing this as a segment to tell the rest of the story? Possibly, as the Lord leads. So we're going to sign off here. We love you. God loves you. God bless. And remember,
it's not just a conspiracy theory
if it's actually the truth. All right, we'll see you back on Sunday at 1. God bless. I was